Welcome into the Cowboys Report, presented today by Manscaped. The NFL Draft is here, and you want to make sure your own prospects are being perfectly groomed, head to toe, if you know what I mean. Manscaped.com, promo code Cowboys, 20% off at manscaped.com with that promo code. This is one of our final shows before the actual NFL draft. Here's what's coming up as parts, not the entire thing. There's some Josh Ball conversation too. Drafting either Joey Porter Jr. or Will McDonald. Trade rumors on DeAndre Hopkins and sorta Derrick Henry as well, which we will get into on today's show. But if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. We don't get to 154.5K by the end of the draft. We might not be going, we might go sub only. So make sure you are subscribed for free videos all off season and, of course, in season right here on the Cowboys Report. First up on the rumors roundup is the idea of drafting Joey Porter Jr., which I've mentioned before as maybe you get lucky and he ends up being this year's CeeDee Lamb. Well, that's exactly what Peter King had in his 2023 NFL draft, or mock draft, I should say, excuse me. Now, Peter King historically is not the most accurate mock drafter. Mock drafting hard. If you get 10 right, you feel great there. There has been a little bit of buzz as of late that, hey, maybe Deonte Banks goes before Joey Porter Jr., which I'd be, kind of surprised if that actually ended up going down. It'd be a bit of a departure from previous results and everything. So I would not assume that JPJ gets there. If he does, I think that would be a fantastic selection for the Dallas Cowboys. Joey Porter Jr. was a lockdown cover corner at Penn State this past year. He did not get beat very much. Purdue was the one team that kind of tried to test him a little bit. He was only targeted 30 times across the course of the season. 14 of them came against Purdue. He allowed 6 catches for 66 yards, and he had 6 pass breakups. And that was beginning of the year, and then teams were like, we're not going to do this. He is the son, by the way, of Joey Porter Sr., the former Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker. Dan Quinn would love him. 34-inch arms. Diggs and Porter Jr. together, it's a really fun long-term 1-2 punch. This would be one of the top players at the position. Surprisingly slides to you. Didn't think that was going to be the case, and you just take them and you're hyped about it. I would love JPJ in Dallas. This is my version of the CeeDee Lamb pick. I don't think he's going to get there, though. There are too many corner-needy teams, including limited to Jacksonville, the Giants, the Vikings, and the Ravens, all drafting right in front of you. That makes me think it would be very unlikely he ends up getting there at pick number 26. Who is your dream first-round pick? In a perfect world, but also still somewhat based on reality, i.e. not Will Anderson, who is your dream first-round pick? Another way to put it, who are you leaking the faked video of to get them to slide to pick 26? It's the pinned comment on today's show, so if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Let's talk Will McDonald here for a little bit. Dallas Morning News explored the idea of what if the Cowboys take edge in round 1. Their conclusion was not a great idea. This was David Moore. Dan Quinn, though, has shown a significant amount of interest in Will McDonald. It was a 30 visit. Worked him out at the Pro Day. I think Dan Quinn likes him, and that's not a huge surprise given what we know Dan Quinn tends to like in corners, because you're looking at a player in Will McDonald who is a little bit older than what I think you would typically like. He's 24 after the draft, but he's almost 6'4" and almost 35-inch arms. Massive, massive length that Dan Quinn likes. He's number 6 on my edge board, just barely behind Lucas Van Ness. And if you want to flip those two, I wouldn't be mad at you there. I get some good Randy Gregory vibes out of Will McDonald. And I think in the end, it's a very real chance that Will McDonald is the pick in round 1 for the Cowboys. I know they love guys like Michael Mayer, some other prospects as well, the Bijan conversation, of course. I don't know if those guys are going to be there. I think this could very well come down to, you're sitting at 26, you want to go BPA, your guards are there, So is Will McDonald. Maybe you give Dan Quinn the round 1 pick and then go offense throughout the rest of the draft. I think Will McDonald, if we're like handicapping the top 5 picks for the Cowboys, most likely ones, I think Will McDonald should absolutely be in that conversation. The NFL draft is here, and the most exciting prospect is the prospect of being perfectly groomed head to toe thanks to our friends over at Manscaped. Manscaped has long had elite downfield play with their Lawnmower 4.0. I'm a big fan of ball skills when scouting cornerbacks, and you want to make sure your balls are looking good with Manscaped. 20% off and free shipping when you use promo code Cowboys over at manscaped.com. Manscaped help make you the sexy pick without forgetting about your big uglies up front. The Beard Hedger, the Lawnmower 4.0, franchise-changing combo that can set you up for life. Manscaped.com, promo code Cowboys, gets you 20% off and free shipping. Again, 20% off and free shipping on all of their products at manscaped.com. Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. Go from Mr. Irrelevant, like producer Jeremy, to a first-round pick. I should have said Marshall. I'm sorry. That was mean of me, Jeremy. But either way, you know what I mean. First-round pick with Manscaped. Again, that link's in the comment section and the description of today's show. It's manscaped.com, promo code Cowboys. We have to Manscaped for sponsoring today's show. We talk draft. Let's talk trade now. Inside the Star has floated the idea once again of making a trade for DeAndre Hopkins. They pitched ideas involving Michael Gallup, involving Jordan Lewis, and that's fine. We'll trade you the guy we don't want for the guy you do want, right? Like that's not how NFL teams tend to do business there. The value of Duke Hopkins doesn't appear to be very high. They haven't shown interest in him. Our teams haven't at the cost involved. I think it's the money more so than the draft capital. That's been the issue there. Trading Jordan Lewis, sure. That saves you money. I don't think Arizona have much interest in a guy coming off an ACL. So, you're getting maybe a 5th-round pick value if you're lucky there. But this trade Gallup for Hopkins stuff isn't based in reality. And it shows a fundamental misunderstanding of the salary cap, which is okay. I'll help everyone out. It's a complicated to tell thing. But the Cowboys already restructured the contract of Michael Gallup. If they traded him right now, anytime before June 1st, they lose an additional $10.6 million on top of what Gallup is already making. That's not something Dallas wants to do. Now, they can trade him after June 1st, save 2.42. Something tells me Hopkins will be gone by then. And I know there's been claims that Hopkins is adjustable in his contract. I don't think that's the case. I think it's less of a Hopkins doesn't want to be the highest paid receiver again, and more of a Hopkins just wants to get similar money on a longer term deal. That's what I think the adjustable contract stuff means, because he's doing a lot of money for a player that has missed time the past 2 years. The idea of Lamb and Cooks and Gallup and Hopkins is absolutely fascinating. The idea of paying Lamb and Cooks and then giving Hopkins $20 million, it's a little bit less so. So if he wants to take a cheap pay cut like Cooks did, let's ride. Something tells me a different team, Bills, Chiefs, whoever it is, would offer a little bit more. What is the percent chance you think in the end the Cowboys trade for DeAndre Hopkins? Sound off for us in the comments section. While you're down there, go subscribe to our NFL draft, or for our NFL draft coverage live on the Chat Sports YouTube channel. Our live coverage, featuring me and others, gets started at Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be live for all of the draft, every pick. I've got 300 players ranked. I will drink for everyone I do not know. YouTube.com/@chatsports. We'll go to general Derrick Henry rumors on this front. There was a report, it was Saturday, right? Jeremy came out Saturday. Eagles are trading for Derrick Henry. And then everyone came out and said, no, they're not doing that. Heavily disputed. The argument that came out was like, rep by the same agent. Well, they're both rep by CAA, which is like the biggest agency. So I think that it got a little bit too much credence under the guise of like, same agent? Okay, it's the same agency. but it's a little bit like, well, they would know. They're both from the same city. Like, there's a lot of people from the same city. Like, I don't think that's the most credible argument there. The Cowboys keep getting linked to Derrick Henry. Outside of the alleged claim from Tring, which I still think was a game of telephone gone wrong, it's mostly just been clickbait to an extent. We'll go more in depth on Derrick Henry in general, but let's pretend the cost is similar. Who would you rather trade for? 22 for Derrick Henry or 10 for DeAndre Hopkins? Sound off in the comments section. Much like DeAndre Hopkins, money's a problem. The cap hit is a big problem. He's counting a lot for Tennessee this year. The new team would owe him $10.5 million. Now, for the Cowboys specifically, you are already paying Tony Pollard $10 million this year. Do you want to invest $20 million in your running back room where you want to give Derrick Henry touches and you want to give Tony Pollard touches? No, I'm not so sure. Now, if Derrick Henry wants to take a bit of a pay cut here, like, that's fine. But I don't think Derrick Henry wants to do that. And the numbers regressed. And I think this graphic right here on screen is a great example of why offensive lines matter. Why did Derrick Henry average 1 yard per carry less over the past 2 years compared to 2020? His offensive line wasn't as good. Doesn't that mean you want to focus on the offensive line more? My mindset. Speaking of the offensive line, everyone's favorite, he said, dripping with sarcasm, offensive lineman Josh Ball is apparently going to get more guard reps. Mike McCarthy revealed that Josh Ball, Manscaped, that does work. Good call there, Jeremy. We'll be working more at guard this year. There was some surprise. They actually got some work at guard last year, by the way. Ball played 26 snaps against the Houston Texans. His run grade was solid. He was bad in pass protection. He almost single-handedly cost them the game. And the reason why the Cowboys, I think it was a 98-yard touchdown drive to win that game, was in part because they pulled Josh Ball and put Jason Peters in at right tackle. Josh Ball was a dumpster fire in that game. Why are you moving an offensive tackle to guard? Because you're bad at tackle. Sometimes it saves your career. Eric Flowers had a second life in the NFL because he moved to guard. I would not be surprised, given you're probably going to take a guard fairly early, and it's going to be the Smiths, Biotish, Martin Steele. I think Let's goes on this team, Matt Farniok, plus a draft pick, and maybe Chuma Edoga. I don't think Josh Ball is going to make this team, barring injuries, coming out of training camp. And you know what? It's fine. You drafted a 4th-round pick with massive off-the-field red flags. Doesn't bother me that much.